Hello. I'm going to get started. Apparently somebody tried to pull down wires or accidentally pull down wires at Fed's house, so he's dealing with it. But I didn't want to wait too long. So I've got Discord muted, so you won't hear him when he comes in. But don't tell him I set this up. So I should just launch him way out here. But in Satisfactory, if you have full health, you hit the ground, you won't die. You'll still be left with just a very minimum amount of health, so he'll be okay. And it's an easy little prank. So I did a lot off the stream, and I want to share some of it. Did a lot of exploration. As you can see, a lot more map is clear than before, if you paid any attention to that. And I've also put up the first radar tower. And I have little question marks. I plotted out a place, kind of minimize the number of radar towers that I need to put up to cover the whole map. So that may be one thing that I try to do. Run around putting up some radar towers. Got quite a bit of Mercer spheres, some more summer sloops, and a lot of hard drives. Pretty much saturated in the phase 3 recipes on hard drives. There's not anything left to look at. So I've got a few to start off phase 4 with. So the first thing I want to do is just get the space elevator started. I have all the parts counted up for the space elevator phase 3 and got it set up ready to go with the first item, and then once that's done, we may need to do a little bit of manual rebalancing of the items to get them all through, and then we can set up the second item. There's only 100 of those, but I've got all the prerequisites for those built in a crate. I also took all of the blueprints that I had from other games and I loaded them into the server. So I have some more stuff to show, including a lot of splitters, equalizer, balancers. Did a couple of more train blueprints and fixed up the train that I was working on the last stream. For some reason, after I restarted the server, that crash didn't happen. Also built this little cage for the wild lizard doggos. So we got this nice little Jurassic Park looking thing. Because they're dangerous. What you got? And hopefully someone will come on and give me names for these. All right, so let's see, space elevator parts. I've got 4 manufacturers set up, I think, 3 or 4, can't remember. Okay, 3 manufacturers set up with this bus system, so I can run all of the items in. It's set up to take these, and I preloaded it to test so that it's making all of these. Got 3 run through, and now it's primed for the summer sloops. The first item you run through, even if you have a summer sloop in, will not get credit for having the summer sloops full. So that's why there's 3, 1 for each of the buildings. And then let's go. So this will just pull from the conveyors, run everything in. I added a 4th belt up here, but I haven't added any of the lifts, so I'll go ahead and do that while I'll get these going, so that once this is done, we'll be able to put in the splitters for these. And did I get it at the right place? I did. Yay me. Sometimes I do the right thing. Let's see if that is there. Is that right? Looks like it. So I'm going to connect up all of the belts first. Then we're going to connect up the lifts. And then once all the lifts are in place, what happened here? Connect. Once all the lifts are in place, then you can snap splitters onto those belts. Then they'll just align with the splitters this guy. It looks like he's in the wrong place, but I think it's still working. It's probably just a graphical thing. It's coming in on that belt. Motors. I'll have to check it in a second. Oh no, it's not. There we go. Good thing I did this. And now let's add the splitters for those. There's one. Two. And 3. I may have to, oh no. Looks like it'll work. And then you have to rebuild these, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they refuse to connect correctly to the splitters, and you just have to rebuild them so that they'll kind of snap to it and get going. Alright, so we already got up to 37 of 500. Items look like they're flowing in. Good deal. Oh, you can also see how much power this is taking up. Waited too long. So it kicks up pretty good. Not a ton, but with all the summer sloops and power shards in there, that is pretty expensive. So there's a lot of rubber for this. I'm loading that in, but that's the only thing that really needs to be backed up. Made the smart plating outside, and then I also made all of these automated wiring and everything else for the next item, which is the little adaptive thing. I forget what it's called. Adaptive control. I forget. Adaptive control unit. And I moved the codes. So the codes are now over here because I wanted to move. I needed a place to put that. Built a hypertube booster blueprint, so I can automatically get kind of speedy over here. We'll go check out the trains. So one factory, rubber and plastic. Oh, I need to get rid of that. So we got quite a few buildings producing rubber and plastic. A lot of the stuff going into the sinks here. I'm just sinking the polymer. There are a few better recipes. You can probably get better output of this, but for now this looks nice. It's generating everything I need. I've set up the turbo fuel power. Got our train station going. And then I also made a circuit board factory from this, and I wanted to do a little different, so I did this weird circular thing. I guess it's octagonal. We can take a look at that. So I'm trying to get a little better with architecture, do some stuff that's not just open factories and enclose things, and use better techniques for making them look nice. And I'm having a good time with it. The motor factory I spent a lot of time on. Here I've got my clean room where the circuit boards are actually being produced, so you get the fans to keep all the dust and everything off of you when you enter the clean room. A little nice touch. I did some coloration, so this is all themed. You can see all my circuit boards going in here. Honestly, these things don't look like circuit boards to me, they look like hard drives. So that's about it, and did some weird roof thing. I should probably put something on top of this if I'm going to bother to have a clean room. Open roof probably doesn't work. And then I cleaned up the tracks over here. So last time I was getting a crash. My client would crash whenever I would place that elevated blueprint, so when I restarted the server, it no longer crashed. So I was able to rebuild some stuff and make this a little smoother, a little nicer along the way. I included one of the covered blueprints. I really like this. It's fun. And then I built a curve so that instead of having these weird sharp angles, I had some nice curves. I only really used one. Everything else seemed to go pretty smoothly. So especially along here, there was lots of weird left to right deviations. So I fixed that, and then was able to put in these inclines so we don't have a bunch of real steep jerk up kind of sections. I also built a slightly gentler incline that kind of eases in. I haven't used it on this yet, but I built a couple more blueprints for the rail. Added some lighting to these. I do wish the signs would actually improve the area lighting a little bit when you use them. I saw something on the Satisfactory QA site, someone asking for this, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, I like using the signs for lighting. They look good. But if you come through here at night, it's just still dark with one little beam of light. Which I'm not about to get run over. And overall, much nicer train track experience. I didn't really do anything to this, but it seems pretty smooth when I come through here. Could probably replace some of these with one of the curves, or I made a 90-degree curve, and that might work out a little better. But overall, I think it's fine. And most of this is untouched. I did build a little bit of a tunnel coming out of the weapons plant. We also hooked up the cluster, unlocked and hooked up the cluster obelisk, which is awesome. It's really great for just clearing out large areas. We're going to try to leave as much of this woodland in since we're not using this land. Looks pretty nice. And I was thinking this could probably be altered a little bit. So Fed set this up with steel pipes from the iron ingots, iron pipes. And there's enough coal, enough coal over here that we could make steel and use the steel directly, but also get a little bit more to make the shatter rebar, the explosive rebar. The explosive rebar is really nice for shooting things like the little gas cloud things. You can just pop them off really quickly. And it's easier to aim the rebar than it is to throw an obelisk, so it's quicker. Set up this little underpass tunnel. So this was what got me started doing a little bit more architecture in this world. And then tried to make some nice things. I'm trying to have nice things. Let's see if I can hitch a ride on the train on the way back. The other thing I did is I finished all the architecture for the motor factory, which was lacking and I didn't want to show last time, so I can do a little tour of that. And also finished the guts of the heavy modular frame factory. So I have that working, producing heavy modular frames, but I haven't done any good architecture for that one, so it's just kind of another open world factory. But I want to get away from that. It's just not as interesting, and I have a lot of fun finding new techniques. I did discover something that I've not seen before that I may share on Blueprints in a little bit, using rails as a guide. Maybe some other people have seen this, and if they have, nice. They haven't shared videos. I haven't seen any videos of it. A lot of the architecture stuff, you use the painted beams, so you stretch out a painted beam and you can get a lot of good angles, like so arbitrary angles almost. And then building from that, you can build some nice structures. So I can get the inventory of blueprints right now. But I have a kind of some hex and octagon patterns, some nice smooth curve patterns, just to use as guides for building other things. And let's see what else. I need to get rid of that tree. Yeah, so finishing phase 3. Can't see the space elevator right now until I get out of the trains. So finishing phase 3 is the first goal. That way we can start unlocking all of the tiers in phase 4, which is aluminum and I believe nuclear power. Nuclear power is still a ways off. Aluminum is complex if you haven't done aluminum. It is not the easiest thing. And there's definitely a lot of alternate recipes that are helpful for getting aluminum to be a little easier. The sloppy alumina makes things a lot simpler. You don't have to deal with the silica. Not that it's, you could just sink the silica. And then the pure ingots allow you to skip the silica for creating the, for converting the scrap. And so those will be nice to have. I'd love to do something. I did this before where I had a train collecting up all the bauxite and bringing it to a single location and doing one massive plant to generate all of the aluminum. I'd love to do that again, but better. I was never happy with what I did the last time. So I'd love to give that a second try and see if I can do something better with better architecture and better logistics. Are we not getting the items, or is this enough items? I don't think we're going to have enough items. So this only has 13. Oh, because it wasn't pulling in the motors, right? Always pull more motors. I think I did bad math. Could have possibly divided by 2 twice. So let's get another couple stacks of smart plating. Reinforced, and then rotor. Get that going. Dump a few more motors. Start with a stack. So 50 motors, it takes, it is 2 to 2. So 50 motors will give us 50 more. We get 18, so I'm going to need definitely more than that because it looks like I hit about half as many. I'm trying to do the math in my head. Throw in another 50, see what that do. So these had 30 something in them, so that's a little bit over 100. And we need 250, so added another 100. And then smart plating, I'm just going to have to rely on that to produce the right amount in the right amount of time. So we'll come back to that in a minute and go look at the motor factory, because I'm a wee bit proud of that one. Also, in the news, Satisfactory news, 1.1 leaves experimental and becomes official on June 10th. I'm really excited. Yeah, been playing in 1.1 since April, since it came out. There's still some bugs. I'm hoping they'll fix those before the full release, but mostly everything's good. In my preview 1.1, I made some judgment calls that I regret. In particular, the priority merger I thought was going to be useless, and I have used a lot of the priority merger. It's actually really cool. I'm thinking about building a central storage using priority merger and start sending all the items to central storage via trains, but then you won't be producing anything because you have sort of, as long as your storage is full, it won't produce anything, and then you can dump in your items and use those as the main feed back into your dimensional depots. That way, oh, hey, you're not supposed to be here. So whatever I'm dumping from my inventory back into that will go into storage and then feed directly in Dimensional Depot. And then the items that I've been using and have carried around will become the first items that go into the Dimensional Depot because I can prioritize that merger. And then the items coming from the trains would be the second item on the priority merger. So you'd be able to do that. So here's my motor factory. We'll start at the top. My wires are a little crazy. I've tried to light this thing up, but I got motors. This is theoretically producing 50 motors, or well, really 45 motors per minute. I did not quite see that in reality. I got to, I want to say 14. I think, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this says it should be producing like, that's like nearly 100, but we're not getting, oh, it's 45. That's right. My numbers are wrong. I'm thinking of the other factory. So yeah, I was producing about 45 because I need to put summer sloops in for some of the items, the rods. So here I'm getting only 80 of these, and I need quite a few, 75 to 80. I need quite a few more than that. The rods are going down, but let's just take a, we'll go to the center and take a quick look out from photo mode. And, oh, I can't get through the building. I thought I could go through the building. I haven't ever actually used it from inside of the building. So let's go outside. Okay. So I'm still inside the building. There we go. We'll just do the inside tour. So, producing copper over here. That's not hooked up to anything. I was going to send this over to do a secondary wire factory thing just with the excess because I'm making way more copper than I need. But I just haven't set it up yet. It wasn't critical to get this thing going. Over here I'm starting with the wet concrete, or sorry, pure iron, not wet concrete. Pure iron recipes over here from 3 different pure nodes that are in the area. So you can see those out there. Get all my water source from here, and each one of these feeds into separate factories. So the first one, here's rods. You got these coming in through this manifold, and if they're not being used, they just pass straight through this priority merger. And then up here, which are then merged into the screws. And we've got a whole lot of screws. Once I can get the next level belts, we can simplify this a lot, but this is currently using mergers, so I don't like that. This should be straight. And then I'm also using iron for the iron pipes. So I could get by with a little bit more if I actually brought in some coal and made proper steel. But I didn't want to put up with that for now. I can bring in coal, belt it down from that little crater area. If you look on the map, there's a bunch of craters over there. Don't want to deal with that yet. So I'm using my rods and screws to build rotors. A lot of rotors, we're sending those up. And then stators building over here out of my steel pipes. copper wire just coming in from the top. Then I did go ahead and put the stators into Dimensional Depot because I didn't have another factory building them. So technically this is the rotor or motor stator factory, not just the motor factory. So here's where my iron rods are being produced. And so there's a lot of these. If I put in summer sloops, then this would be producing enough to max out the motor factory. But as you can see, I'm already full, so I don't really need it. And the motors themselves on this high part, tried to light it up. I don't like the lighting. It's kind of chaotic, but I built a blueprint to kind of get a better version of the lighting, so I'll probably rip this out and put that in later, but all of this producing motors. So once I get all of that in, this should produce close to 100 motors per minute once everything is fully upgraded and available. So the outside, I did a lot of work on the outside. Let's get on this side. This is kind of where it started. I thought, ooh, it'd be kind of cool to build some supports coming out of the water, so it's like sitting on a A-frame. And that's the basic architecture of it. It's a big A-frame that's supported on both sides. So I have this exterior patio part for some of the refineries and the iron rod manufacturing. Got a little entryway in here, so it meets that code of having an exterior entry. I've got rails along everything that's elevated, so you can't fall off the side. It's fully walled in. And I did like putting the 1 meter walls. I haven't really used 1 meter walls a lot until I discovered you could do this kind of separation of windows and walls. It looked a lot better than just having stacked windows. So I really like that. Use some of the 1.1 architectural bits to make the walls look less flat. I know you can use foundations to make really nice looking walls, really thick walls. I'll probably do that on the next round of architecture, probably on the heavy modular frame factory. You know, I made the quick wire factory on one of the worlds I had with the fun quick wire, like giant spool of quick wire, and I'm probably going to do a giant heavy modular frame. I know that's pretty obvious, but I'm still going to do it because I like it. Like the glass roofs, being able to see in, and it's still got lighting. Got some weird stuff on the inside over here I probably have to clean up. Know any way better to do this. So if anyone sees this and has a suggestion for how to make a better version of this glass corner, I would love to see it. This is just kind of strange. And then for some reason this entry point reminded me of Stargate. I'm gonna have to move to show you. I don't know if anyone is a Stargate SG-1 fan. But I was thinking Cheyenne Mountain when I built it. Not quite the big round door, but the big roll-up door kind of going into the side. Hello, friend. And then a top opening that you can see out, fly out if you had a jetpack or something. So I guess this would be the main entrance. Back in the camera. And put some fences up, in case there's falling rocks. Put some vents up, just for flair. So that's what it looks like overall. So this is my first real heavy architectural build. There's some things to clean up, like these weird exposed concrete. There's a wall here, but I could put a beam, make it look a little better. And a few walls that I didn't notice, kind of poking out. And then the foundation I saw in the beginning, have to shore that stuff up, but otherwise, pretty proud of it. I did put something that I think is a really cool little detail. The lighting here with these beams. So you can't actually see the lighting, but you can when you're inside and you can when you're on the edge. So it does give it a little bit of a glow. Makes it look a little bit cooler all the way across the top. That one I was proud of. And then the clipping through the concrete gave an interesting texture on the roof because you can see just the supports for the sign poking through. And that's about it. So compare that to the old box. I think it's definitely a level up from what I've done before. So happy with that. All right. Okay, we made a little bit of progress on space elevator. I don't know what happened to Fed. He had a contractor coming to the house. So delivery truck driver pulled some cables off of his house. He has a video of it. So I don't know what happened to him. He said he'd be here 7:30. He's not here. He's a liar. He's bad and should feel bad. So he deserves the prank, even though I set it up way before I knew this. Yeah, let's see how we're doing. And we're out of motors again. I really mucked up the motor calculation. May wind up overproducing these, but that's okay. They're used in another space elevator phase, so it will be okay. We will survive. So, got those loading in. Hopefully smart plating will be coming through. I may have run out of items by now. Getting close. Let's top that off. And I cleared up a lot of stuff in the MAM. So, finished this tree. This is the last thing. I don't know that this is terribly useful, but completionist. Got the Caterium, including the geothermal generators and the programmable splitter and the guided bullets, which is nice. I know Fed is planning to set this up and automate that, but we'll probably need drones for that. That we'd already done. Quartz, the big thing here is radar technology. So I think I can cover with 15 radars, 15 or 14. Should cover the whole thing, and I don't think I can do better than that, but we'll see. The problem with this is we need to automate computers. If we go into what this actually looks like, it's under organization. Radar tower requires, maybe. I have quite a few computers backed up and quite a few crystal oscillators from just finding them lying around. I think the real bottleneck on this is going to be cable. So let's see, I've got 1, so let's dial this up to 14. Yeah, we're going to be a little bit short on crystal oscillators, which we can make. Heavy modular frames, we have automated, so I can pull those out, and cable, we have automated, so I can pull those out. It's just the oscillators that aren't on here. I want to remove the geothermal generator. I was just looking to see what that was. So I could build these, so go around and collect that stuff up. So what else did I finish off on here? I think that was the last thing on this tree. On the sulfur, I got the explosive rebar, which is fun. I want Fed to automate that over his weapons factory. Cluster Noblisk I mentioned. We did automate that. Pocket dimension, won't be able to unlock anything else until phase 4, and then, yeah, then we should be able to clear out the rest of this tree, except for maybe this. Technically you can do this, but it's not really worth it, so wait until we can get this, which is phase 5. So we need the time crystals for this, which will be in phase 5. We could technically unlock the power augmenter, but right now we don't need the power, so it seems like a little bit of a waste of materials, especially when we're using computers for the radar towers. And I don't think it's going to come in handy right now because we're really, really over power. The turbo fuel generator setup that Fed did is working really well. The Exxon Valdez has us going. So we're pretty close to capacity right now because we're running the space elevator parts, but you can turn a lot of things off, and once the space elevator parts are done, this will kick back down. I think it's like 20% of our power. I could show it, but I don't think I care that much right now. Got a little bit of backup items that have just been sort of piling up, so let's start from there to get all of the things we need. The radar towers, and then I think I'm just going to go around and start planting down radar towers for profit. It's just a little bit of a slow day. I'm not that entertaining by myself. I need Fed to make fun of me. Right, so we're going to have to make those crystal oscillators, I think, manually. It looks like I'm going to need 56 more. Probably have all the items in storage to make those, but we'll see. I don't know why this is under communications. Almost. I don't know what we're bound by, but it's probably the cables, maybe the crystals. We'll go ahead and work on those. And I'll check it out. We have anybody on? I'm all alone. I'm gonna have to assume Fed's been eaten by raccoons. He does live in the wilderness. And I think there are a lot of deer too, so he could have been eaten by deer. So crystal oscillators, I think we can start automating. There's an area near where I built the heavy modular frames. I think Fed is starting on that we can build computers, and then crystal oscillators may be able to come out of that similar area. So crystal oscillators, AI limiters, and computers all on that one location. We also have the alternate recipe for the AI limiters, but we'd have to bring in the rubber somehow, which is a little faster for the crystal oscillators. There we go, got those. I was exploring a lot of the alternate recipes in the Satisfactory Modeler app, if anyone has used that. It's a really nice tool. It's actually in Steam. You can go find it under alternate things in Steam. It's under tools, I believe, and instead of games. So it may not be obvious where it is. But you can set that up and play with a lot of different recipes and plan out your builds and what factories you need. But it also gives you a really visual way to compare different recipes. So I may try to set that up and share some of that if we don't get a fed soon, because I think it's interesting. And I like to talk about nerdy stuff. And it's pretty nerdy. So just a little bit of a comparison of those, or I may wait and do that as a separate video series, because there's a lot of alternate recipes, and so going through all of them, deciding which ones are worth it and which ones aren't, it's going to be a lot of work. Right? Especially when you hit plastic and rubber and oil and all of that, there's so many different recipes to consider that building out a factory really depends on kind of what you have in the area. If you want to be really efficient and not have to bring anything in. So some of those are only useful sort of depending on where you are. And some of them are useful all the time, or if you just really want to crank out the absolute most of an item, there's certain recipes that are good. And then some that are just really terrible that I found just playing with it that I don't know why they're even included. I don't understand them. So let's see, what did I want to do? Let's go after my first radar station. So I like highlighting stamps, gives you kind of a easy way to find a location that you want to build something. Actually used I used Adobe Illustrator to create little hex patterns so I can minimize the overlap to get this pattern. So they should be pretty well aligned. And I challenge anyone to get better than however many 15 or 14 it is that I came up with for this. I don't think it can be done. I did try a different technique. So the one I did was just starting from the first base. I tried to get as much ground covered by the first one as I could. So that gives me all of that, right? And then I started from that, just seeing where I could go to cover the next area, and then just make a straight line out of there and do kind of a geometric pattern so that they're all evenly spaced and they'll all look nice when they're on the map. The other approach that I took in trying to see which would do is start from the outside, so I don't have as much radar tower overlapping water where I know that there's nothing. But that actually resulted in me having to do an extra radar tower as opposed to the 14 or so that I got here. I'll just count them because So if you highlight over this, you can see them a little easier. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14. Mostly before I just, in games before, I've done this twice at least, covering the entire map with these, but when I've done it before, I just kind of eyeballed it, and it worked okay. So this time I went super nerdy and used the entirely wrong tool for doing math, Adobe Illustrator. Wouldn't be the first time I used Adobe products to do math. Still no word for Fed. I mean, he's over an hour and 20 minutes late. He told me he was going to be late. Oh, he doesn't mind me starting without him. Oh, 485 out of 500. Looks like it's, yep, still going, so hopefully we'll be able to hit that 500 and then come back around and finish off the second phase 3. Another thing I'd like to do and I may not actually do it on this playthrough, is set up all of the radar towers to be connected to a single grid that's only powered by the geysers. That way you always have power to the grid here, so you always know where things are and can use it for planning. So this area's got a lot of oil. Various nodes. There's only one pure node if I remember right, and then there's some more in this section that you can't see. But it does have 2 SAM nodes. I think this is impure. There's another over here that's a pure node, but not a lot else in this area. So it's not super great for building everything, but it is pretty good for building a lot of different factories. And then on top of this cliff, there is a ton of pure iron and pure copper. You can make a ton of stuff with this. It's a really nice area for making copper. Let's see, we got a text, it's fed. Yep. I don't know what this means. He's blocked in at his neighbors. He'll be here or he won't. So let's go on to the next one. Let's see. I can get the question mark, remove that. Oh yeah, we do have a caterium, but it's, no wait, that's copper. I think there's a caterium over here too. All right, I haven't even been in this section yet. It's one of the more dangerous ones if I remember. 491 of 500. So there was a bug. Sometimes the UI disappears without warning. And it's not the standard clear the UI T button, because it won't come back no matter what. You don't get the warnings about what's wrong. It's very annoying. That's persistent. That's been around 1.0. I remember that a lot. Oh, I can't go to the map while I'm doing that. I wish that was more of a toggle than a hold persistent. So this is what I kind of call the first real exploring technique that you can cover the map. The second one is when you unlock the hover pack and can literally go anywhere and fly just by delivering power to everything. The benefit of this is having, you know, it's very fast to get these set up, and you can go to places that you haven't really been before. Real distant places. So we're gonna have to make a turn up there, because you can put this pretty far. And then a thing I discovered with 1.1, sometimes it's a little difficult to place these on cliffs going up. Am I being attacked? Yeah, I'm being attacked. I'm gonna ignore him. So, like, sometimes you can find a spot that wasn't the one I wanted, and it becomes really sensitive, and now I can't find it again. But if I nudge up, I can usually move this over. Hopefully I won't die. I'm gonna die. I don't want to die. Alright. Humanely dispatch this blue thing. And this other blue thing. Thank you for not shooting me. Alright, so now I found this. So if I just put that in place, I can nudge it a little bit further out, get a little bit more distance, and usually get a better footing on those poles. It's half the time when you put them on the edge of a cliff, they're hanging over the edge. See, doesn't look that bad. Might clip a little bit of the ground, but as long as it says it's decent, I will take it. And then other times you may get close, you just can't see, and then you can nudge it into place. I think I got a yellow slug. Hello, yellow slug. Let's see a mercer sphere down there. This is one of the coolest places, I think. It's really kind of a neat, I don't know what terrain, cool biome. Get quite a distance on that one. Yeah, well, I don't want to go that way. Thank you. Fun radioactive hawk. Let's get some holes in on him. And these guys are annoying. There we go. And then even after they're gone, they're still doing damage to you. You have to get away. The other good thing about this is when you find pods that need opening with electricity, you just have it with you. So boom. And then let's get some stuff loading into storage in case I get, unfortunately, attacked. What else? I think I filled that up. Yeah, I did. Shouldn't have brought those with me. Might run out of space, but 491 out of 500 still. So yeah, that stops there. Do we get this kind of row? I'll go up to the last one in the desert here. Oh wait, no, I didn't quite get to where I wanted here. Maybe we'll stop at this one. Go back and probably throw in a few more motors, or maybe the smart plating. That's more likely. I also see a mercer sphere. Purple slug. There's lots of stuff. Resist the temptation to try to collect it all. There's so many freaking power slugs over here. Okay, this one I'll collect because I think it's going to be right where I want to put my radar tower, and I don't know if I can get it there. Nope. So the little ones of these always take 4 shots. The big ones take 8. Oh no. No. It's going to try to take care of 2 problems at once. That was not successful. I made the situation worse. Alright. Thought there was another. Probably not where I am. So I want to clear all of these rocks because I want to put the tower here. And they're in the way a little bit. Hey look, it's a Fed. Let's unmute him on Discord in case he actually comes in here. Hello, sir.
Hello. My apologies about being an adult. I don't recommend it.
I hate it. It's awful.
Very bad stuff.
Did you get your adulting?
Know. Yeah. Oh. We talked about roofing and 26 square roofs and just much adulting.
Did it not work? Did my trap not work?
Nope, it didn't. I'm about to just walk into it myself.
It won't kill you, so darn it.
Oh, it won't?
I'm very disappointed.
You built it really low. Like, you got the right spot. I don't know. You did it was a valiant effort.
I couldn't imagine how you wouldn't get pulled into that. That's
because it's down in the ground. It's like down in the ground. And I was up on the platform. So
well, that's not what I was seeing, so.
So I was trying to make one of these the other day and like half-assed it, and I see you have sections that are connected now. That's okay.
Yep. So I have just been dropping off some radar towers. So as I was talking about before you logged on, I figured out a way to kind of cover most of the map, or at least all the places that seem to have stuff.
Okay.
With only a few, and I think I've got it. With 14.
So I was going to say something crazier about this is if you built one for resource coverage, cool, great, and you want to be as sparse out as you can. When it comes down to hunting hard drives or Mercer spheres, if you don't want to cheat and you want to play it, legit, like you don't have the internet.
Wait, what?
You
I don't understand what you said. Don't have the internet?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if that's a thing you can do.
I'm old.
I think that's
I had to get my cheats from Nintendo Power, okay? And I was spoiled. I mean, I was learning hex when I was a child playing Nintendo. And, FF gave me the max amount of rupees, and I can go buy the fancy shield and the ring and get further in Zelda. But it's cool. But if you add radar towers in between, you can definitely help triangulate where the items are based on the counts on the radar towers. I was doing that in my original game.
Yeah,
and it was handy.
Yeah, you can definitely narrow it down by having a few of them in there. It's a little difficult because in order to get a significant count, you have to overlap a lot of space, and so unless you have 2 beside each other that have 0 on it, you can't really figure out what's in the or like nearly 0. You can't really figure out where they are.
Well, you could always just, since most people, I imagine, towards endgame are going to run around with power cables and was it hover pack or whatever it is. You could just drop one and, okay, where is it from me? And you gotta play the edge of the radar tower, but it's doable. So like
Yeah,
your
you could
edge
definitely
that's
move it and see when
near,
it goes up or down.
yeah, with your edge near the modular frames, like, okay, most likely they're in ridges because the ridge is either an entrance to a cave or it's in a high spot, and you can, a little deductive reasoning.
I'm
You
just gonna
can
cheat.
do a lot. Yeah, like, yeah, okay. I mean,
I like to cheat.
no, I will not mention that to your wife, and that is my courtesy to you.
I like that.
Okay. Hmm. But yeah, what else did I miss?
Oh, I
I don't
did
want to
just
go
a
back
little
and
bit of
watch your
tour, kind of
stream.
go around. We did a recap.
Okay.
I talked about how you're terrible and didn't show up. Um,
That's fair. That's fair.
you gave me
I mean,
lies. I did the Motor Factory tour, which is worth watching. Not really. But you haven't seen it, have you? You haven't even gone over there. So it's worth it for you to see it. So you can watch that later if you want. But or you can just go over there.
which fact
The
which factory
motors,
was that?
motors and stators. You haven't seen it since I finished it.
I'm heading in the direction of the Motor Stater factory, actually.
Well, go check it out. Um,
Yeah.
and then I have Heavy Modular Frame Factory here, which I used. Uh, I think fairly limited resources. So everything is just coming from this area to make quite a few
That's
heavy modular frames. I think I'm
that
pretty
is a
proud of
heck
this
of a
one.
wall of belts. My
Yep.
goodness.
So this one is actually working up to spec as far as I can tell and was producing, I think it's 14. You have 5 manufacturers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And producing almost 3, so 12. It was producing around 12, and this was literally producing around 12. So, yeah, so this one actually built really nicely. The motor factory is running at about half a capacity because I'm using the iron iron tubes instead of the steel tube base recipe, which is less item efficient. So I'm
Hmm.
getting fewer tubes than I would if I piped in coal there and started using it, which also made me think about your weapons factory. You could get a little bit better usage because you've got a lot of coal in the area that you built it. If you,
True.
instead of making steel pipes, you made, or making, sorry, iron pipes, you made steel pipes, you get more pipes. And I unlocked the recipe for the explosive rebar, which the
Okay.
explosive rebar recipe, or the explosive rebar itself, is really nice for clearing out things like the gas stacks, because you can aim it and just point exactly where you want to blow it up, and they reload much faster than Noblisk. So it's a lot
See,
easier to clear those things and even hit
I
some
would
creatures
not
that
have
one shot.
even thought to use the exploding rebar for the gas stacks. I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't have crossed my mind.
but I'd love to automate that, and you have almost everything there. If you did a little bit of rewiring, you could use more of the iron to make the rebar, so then you could put the rebar in, and then you can use all the other items, or all the steel pipes and the, oh, went the wrong way, steel pipes and smokeless powder to finish off the explosive rebar, which will be really nice to have in the depot. So,
So
and you could use the pure iron pattern, the pure iron recipe to make the ingots, so you get even more efficiency out of the ingots that you have with the iron that you have there.
I like your plant here in the motors and stators. This is your work on the flooring is intense. There's okay, well there's just a No, you know what? I take it back. There is just a cable going through a container across a walkway, and it looks like out of the building. I'm disappointed. I should just despawn that on you. That's terrible.
Well, you can fix it while you're over there if you want.
I don't even see where it goes. It just goes out. Oh, maybe it goes to this light.
Just put a nub on it, and then move the nub. Yeah, some of the, especially on the top, the wires are pretty janky up there.
Can't tell if it's a reflection. Yeah, it's a happy reflection that just leaves. I don't even know where it goes to. Oh my god, it goes clear across the entire top of the building. Doesn't
Wish I
even go
could
to
see
the
what you were talking
closest
about.
knob. I guess I could. Well,
Yeah, that
I
would,
mean,
that's just too much. Don't worry about it.
yeah, huh?
So I
I'm
miscalculated on the motor, whatever they're called, and made too few, so it didn't quite complete it yet, but I'm almost there. What are they called? Modular engines. So the modular engine should be done really quick. And then I can move on to the other things.
like other things.
All right, we had 500.
So the unfortunate thought that I'm kind of slightly dreading, because I don't know if I want to deal with it, and I haven't looked into it yet, but should do the rebar manufacturing at Lake City there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard.
Okay. Well,
So I
that's
think the
good.
only thing you really need to do is take the iron ingot thing where you have like 3 smelters.
Mm-hmm.
Just take that out and replace it with some refineries over the water. Then bring in another belt of coal to make the steel. And then you can use some of the iron to make the rods that will make the regular rebar. And then the rest of the steel for the steel pipes that'll be for the Noblisk and the explosive rebar. I think you'll have enough for it. I mean, that doesn't require it
Yeah,
that you
with the
like.
stuff and the things.
As
I'm
opposed
an
to the
adult.
rapid fire job that you don't like.
Well, you know, I don't want to be left wanting more.
I'm going to dump off all this stuff. I may have to build another container over here.
Yeah, you should totally build another container over there.
I thought about building another container over here. All right,
Hmm.
this should be the right amount of stuff, +1, for space
For the thing.
elevator part
Oh,
number 2. Assuming I did math
oh,
correctly,
look at that.
which I
We're gonna
seem to
get
be
that.
really bad at.
Is that the core that's left?
Yep. Then
Right.
I think that's right.
Hmm.
Just go check it out, make sure it's actually performing what it's supposed to do. And then I'll probably have to do a touch-up at the end because it's splitting 3 ways to do 100 items, and that's not going to be right. So yeah, this is using 1 heavy modular frame to give me 2 control units, so I had 50 of those, so that's right. The split in half, this pause, we'll turn that back on, get a few more, and then it shouldn't take that long to get the rest. And I'm gonna manually hack this to get this a little more balanced. Let's get 10, 12, and this only had 6.
Manually hack. Okay. I don't know how I
There we
feel
go.
about that
15, 12, 12. That's close enough. I'll come back at the end and move them around.
Yeah, that's it. We'll fix it in post. It'll be great.
We'll fix it in post. I'll just edit it through the magic of editing.
Yeah. It's right up there with the flashbacks of, oh, we're going to get our handy dandy pencil and our handy dandy notebook. Very, very traumatizing shop class videos that I remember.
Oof. Shop class. All right, I have a lot of slugs that I collected, or a fair amount of slugs, I guess.
It doesn't tell you when I die. That's fun.
You died?
Oh, I died.
Why'd you choose to do that?
I wanted a new experience in life, and
That's not a
it
new
was,
experience in life, actually, because you're not alive when you die.
well, as far as you know, it could be.
That's kind of the definition.
I mean, I identify as alive. Does that count?
You're undead.
I mean, that's fair.
At least you have a jaw.
I had a mohawk, I think. been so long. All right, I don't remember where your tubes go, so.
I don't
Why is
remember where the tubes go either, man.
why is there a blue tube that doesn't do anything when I jump at it?
Oh,
I'm
that's to
confused.
keep you from getting shot all the way across the world because there's a booster on the end of it.
Oh.
Oh, did you
Okay.
jump through the booster trap anyway to see
I
what
did.
happened?
Yeah. Yeah. I just got thrown up and then I
Okay.
parachuted back down onto the same platform. It
Yeah.
was a nice. But your booster trap was like in the ground. You're like, I was standing above it.
Okay, that seems weird. That seems like some kind of weird problem. Maybe some graphical issue because I've got at the beginning, this is where I started the video, started the stream. I was staring right at you. So if you go back and watch the stream, you'll see what I saw. And I'd be interested to know if that's exactly what you saw when you logged in. Because
I so
it could be that where you logged in, it just gave you a different rendering of it, and
mm.
maybe the positions are off. But I know I could run right up under it, right where you were sitting, and get thrown
Oh
up.
no, so I was standing in the middle of one of the platforms you put up there.
I didn't put those platforms up there. You put those
Oh, then maybe
platforms
I
up
put
there.
them. I don't
You put those
know.
platforms up there. I didn't do
I
it.
don't remember. That's
I wouldn't
it
do
feels like a
that.
year ago by now.
Yeah, it's like
It's
7 whole days.
dude, I had an entire day of talking about Google Admin Console. My brain kind of melted at that point. It
Oh,
was
I'm sorry. Oh, I did find out you were asking me about something. It is Active Directory was the thing we were talking about.
okay. I like AD.
Yeah,
AD could be fun.
no dying. If you die on stream, we might get more views. So
I'll work on that. All right, I'm dying slower now. It's more
okay,
acceptable rate of death.
at the normal rate.
Well, what's normal anymore?
I don't know.
You know. Yeah, normal for me is different from the normal for the person that's playing high score of A1C. A little bit of a different game. Yeah, it's a bad joke, but I'm gonna stand by
I
it.
like the bad jokes. So I got this dad joke calendar.
Oh Lord,
My
you needed
brother-in-law,
that.
yeah, my brother-in-law gave it to me at Christmas. And I'm keeping up with it. I'm almost halfway through the year, and I've been mostly keeping up with it. Occasionally, I let it lapse and forget. It's one of those, joke a day kind of things. Today's is why aren't dogs good dancers?
I don't know.
Because they have 2 left feet.
Oof.
I didn't say they were good jokes.
No, that's fair. You did not. That is not your best dad joke. Even
No,
that's
no.
oof. Well, at
No, I
least
think
you
I
at
think
least you
some
know
of the
where you
ones that
stand.
I made up are better than that one,
Yeah.
and they're not good. I know they're not good. As my friend said, I don't tell these jokes for you. I tell them for me.
Well, that's fair because I do that plenty of times. For as long as I find it funny, it was worth it. I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate that. I don't care if
I
you
mean,
find me funny.
it
My
amuses me
coping
when
mechanism.
it amuses me when other people go.
So I'm definitely a big fan of I'm gonna build a story up in a particular direction. That the story doesn't end in that direction; it ends in the polar opposite direction. You know, the traditional. Oh no, everything's terrible. The world's falling apart. Oh no, it went fine. Yeah, it's fine. I love the diversionary, keeping people confused. Brings me such joy.
That makes sense.
I'm probably, yeah, I'm a bad person, so
That also
I
tracks.
I did like one school year we got a boatload of money to put in security cameras, so I was mapping out all the hallways and all the dead spots where to get adequate coverage. Like, okay, I might not be able to see in this corner, but I'll get the kids going in. There's only one way in and out of that corner and all that stuff. We had a breakfast meeting come up with the superintendent. And we each go around saying, hey, well, what's going on in our personal life, how work is going. Just touchy-feely, but, there was food. It was fine. Comes to me and like, okay, well, what have you been up to? I'm like, well, I've been putting cameras everywhere possible you could think of, short of having the NSA toilet camera license. And I delivered it so deadpan, the superintendent leaned to, do we have one of those? Should we get one? Like, well, and I'm like, no, there is no NSA toilet camera license. I don't believe that's a thing.
That you know of.
Oh, I've definitely been tempted to. I've seen signs. If you Google it, there are signs. I've been tempted to print them and just put them on like grocery store doors inside the bathroom,
Mm.
just to bring a level of chaos to the world. Again, because I'm a bad person. I'm happy I'm a bad person. I don't endorse anyone doing that. Obviously, I would only do it myself. But that's a. I wouldn't
I like
endorse
the one
anyone
that
else
I've
doing that.
seen this on the internet. It's one of those signs from the kitchen. It says, you only live once, lick the spoon. Somebody keeps
There
moving
you
it to
go.
back of the toilet. Or no, lick the bowl. Lick the bowl. Damn it. Screwed the joke up.
You
You only
did.
live once,
You did.
lick the bowl, and then they put it on the back of the toilet.
So I do see one problem at my ammo depot. I don't have room to add another tanker storage to come in here, which is unfortunate. Actually, no. What? Are you taking coal out of my plant? You are, aren't you?
We're sending the
Yep, we're sending coal out.
compacted
Okay.
coal over to
Somewhere.
somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have to move the station further down. So I can't add it to the back end the way I did the belts over here, which I do really like. Especially since they clear the train. The two belts I have going up and over the empty train platform. Since that's where the input's lined up for.
Oh, there's one problem. I didn't realize I left these little tag-along belts off the end. Huh. So I didn't have all the items. That was one problem. Sorry.
And if I despawn this train station, it's gonna cause havoc with the trains, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Try to avoid
Yeah.
that. You can despawn
Yeah, the shipping container parts.
the containers, but if you despawn
Yeah.
the
Yep, I have to
station
despawn the
itself,
station.
don't
Yep.
do that. Don't do that. What are you wanting to bring in and out?
Well, I gotta make room to bring in the turbo fuel.
Okay.
And I only have room on that half of the station. On the other side, it would be, I could see, but I think it's going to be far too sharp. I'll try it. It's on the wrong side, and I could pipe it over, I guess. We shall see. I shall experiment with deleting this section of track. Oof. This feels like a 90-degree turn.
So what I would suggest is if you can, build a different train station. Keep that one going, right? Just let it keep going. It may be okay because right now I think it's saturated and we're not really using the train. It's just spinning around. But you could just let the let the train stop, rebuild a new station, and then set them up. Or you could build a new station, route them in, set them up, and then take down the old one. I think the advantage of setting up the new station is making sure you have enough space for it and setting it up with extra space. Maybe you could put it, you could even build it on top.
Yeah, there's only really room for me to add one segment in here, but I don't think I would need to add any other segments.
But if you put the station on the top of the building, like built a ceiling, went up, then you could just pipe everything down. and then your
Oh,
train
that'd be.
have a lot more room for your train.
See, I'm not well versed in the upward building. It's like I know it's a mental block, but like refineries downstairs where the exhaust pipe comes in and then you have a floor above it. I just sit there and scratch my head like, why? Like that's you don't have exhaust pipes into a building. That's not. That just makes me sad. I don't know. Probably too ridiculous on that note, but that's a lot of upward too, just to adjust the track coming upward.
My dog is having puppy dreams.
Oh, yeah, Malt's dog.
Max. It's Max.
Max. See, I know I'm old. I'm just like, oh, Freya. And that's yeah,
good dog.
yeah, very good dog.
I don't know what's wrong with this. I do the math, and then the math does not pan out.
You fought the math, and the math won.
Yeah.
So
I even used I didn't just do the math, I used tools to do the math.
gross.
I know, it's terrible.
That's kind of gross. All right, so I can measure this, I think, before doing anything, thanks to the nudge, mega wonderful, super happy nudge. That's just before that light post. Neat.
All right. I'm having to sack some of the computers that I thought I was going to be able to use to build these towers. Darn it. So we're at 50, so let's see. I don't need all of them. Could probably get by with 25 and 25.
Yeah, I don't know that I can do anything that I want to do.
Like, just in general, or...
I mean, I could move this door a little bit, and I could swing wide before your little tunnel enclosure. I could make the station side work before building up or over. Which just means
Oh, something I want to do.
be...
Build, where you ran a belt out of the cave with the crystals, with the quartz, right?
We talked about doing a train through there.
Yeah. So there's a concept of a push-pull train, which is just 2 stations.
I was talking to Cthulhu about that, and that seems rather weird to me to have an engine on both sides.
Strange. Yeah.
It is very strange.
I've never done it, just because I think you can get better throughput if you don't. But if you don't need a ton, it's probably doable. Can I catch the train? I want to come to where you are. Or, well, I want to come to the...
Well, that's probably a terrible idea. You don't want to be where I am.
Yeah, you're right. You're there. Yeah.
I know. Exactly.
Good point.
That's
I'm going to take the train.
Thing.
So, yeah, you could do a push-pull train. One of the issues... just a freestanding train switch. Gotta remove. So, you could do a push-pull, and when you do trains, there's like the little bit of time when the train is there that it's loading and unloading, where nothing comes out. So I had this idea of doing a push-pull on a Y, where at one end you have 2 receiving stations, and then you have 1 loading station. Because you don't care about the loading.
That is exactly what Cthulhu and I were talking about the other night that he did.
Was a
I was very confused.
Like, we could alternate between the 2 on the push-pull?
He had his hub station, and one train was in the hub, one was at the far polar opposite end of the line, of a straight line, right? That the train came in and took the Y off to the left, and the same time the other train then came back while the other one was loading to the hub, unloaded. The other one came to the Y, stopped and waited. The other train went straight down the letter Y, and then the train that veered off came back in, and it did work pretty well. Better than I would have expected it to.
Yeah, what I was considering is it would just alternate between the two stations, and that would prevent it from
do one.
Yeah, while
one
it was
train?
unloading on one, it would not have to worry about unloading on the other. So you would always have one of them able to load and unload. You can also just do more station than you have, like, because you could do 2 outputs from each one, right? From each cargo part of the station. I can't tell if I'm. No, I'm not quite there yet. There we go. So you could do that and just run them in and just so if your belts could output, say, 240 if you're using 120 belts, Mark II belts, I think. That may be Mark III, I don't know. But so if you're using the slower belts, right, you can just, if you're expecting 400 items in a location, you can deliver a little bit more than that through those belts, and then on average you're outputting 400 items, but you're doing it in bursts so that your system never really slows down and you just have a buffer container. That's how most people do it, and it's fine. But I like the idea of the 2 trains, just because it's kind of, you could theoretically maximize the throughput with minimal trains. So you're always still going to have that unload that's a little bit slower, but as long as you're consuming those items at the right rate, you should still just have items and you're always pulling from those locations. So you just have to keep continually dumping items. But I don't know if it'll work with a push-pull. I think it'll work with a loop.
I mean, the loop just seems... that makes sense to me.
It's so easier to think through. But the push-pull's not bad. But I was thinking a push-pull might be good for that location, simply because you're taking items from one area to one other area. What are you doing with this?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing your rebar.
Doing my what? Yeah. I mean, that was nothing for me. I didn't do anything fancy. I just said, okay, pull some off the line, because this isn't going to be production to just into a sink and ridiculous of volume. So,
right. You could, I don't even think you really need the storage for some things. For the ammo, I think it's okay, but that's a ton of storage. You're never going to go through that many items, even in the little one, right? So like, I did set up the automated miners, and I didn't even bother with the storage. I just have directly into the depot.
Into the depot. I mean, at this point, to me, the material cost and even the foot space, the footprint is the same.
Yeah.
You just have more overhead in the way, more inventory on hand. So you're never waiting for production.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that anyone is, but with 2 of us on here, if we go on a big game hunting one day, just going directly into the depot might be an issue. And there's the station I need to bump out, behind you. So I don't know what I don't remember the other rebar patterns. Like what the explosive one takes, or
the explosive one uses the regular rebar. They all use the regular rebar, smokeless powder, and steel pipes, which you're already building. The steel pipes. You just have to build
the stun ones then.
The stun ones use quick wire, I believe.
Okay, so there is no quick wire near here, is there?
Well, I just set up a radar tower, so you could go look.
You're right, and I am, and I don't see any. I mean,
No, the closest one is out on the coast over here, I think.
Yeah.
And there's one not too much further than your sulfur. Also, there's another sulfur up here. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, at the top of that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't, but that's this sulfur. I'm at least moving through habitable terrain, like MacGyver, and not going across water. But a little, I don't know. That one was easier to get to at first. The other one's a lot more elevation change.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's on the top of that cliff. Though that one's sort of on like you can kind of walk over there. Yeah. If you needed more, there's more. Like because that's also making the compacted coal for the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed to do more compacted coal, if you expand the fuel, that might be one way to get it.
True. That's very true.
And you get a lot of coal over there too. So you got like 4 nodes directly over there, and then there's another. Actually, there's a couple of nodes up in that area. They're just on the edge of the radar tower.
Ooh.
So you can't see them.
I'd need aluminum too, wouldn't I, for the turbo rifle rounds?
Yeah, you gotta get that. That's gonna be drones.
I do like drones.
Drones like you. They told me.
Sometimes. I did play around with the rocket fuel in my other game, and I did quite well getting that up and running.
For power or?
I started moving drones to be powered by rocket fuel, which was kind of neat. I got up to 72 drones.
Wow.
In the other game, it was a lot.
That is a lot. I don't think I've got 72 drones. I got quite a few drones, but maybe 20, 25.
Do we have the rebar stuff unlocked already? 'Cause I don't see that in the tree. I thought the stun rebar was a research. We must
Explosive
already
rebar,
have it.
stun rebar is quick-wire, yep. Shatter rebar is
Look at that.
I think shatter rebar might be good for some of the spider areas, but it's pretty niche. I don't really see any reason to use that. Maybe somebody else has better experience with that than me. But...
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't use the rebar guns a lot. The explosive one, if that's works on those towers, that's kind of neat.
It is. I hadn't really used it before, so today's the first day that I ever tried it.
Oh. Well, all right then. But that means to manufacture all the things that go shooty shoot, quick wire, turbo fuel, crystal. It's 3 items I'd have to get into this area.
You know what might be easier?
What's that?
With the quick wire one, is just find another. Like, if you want to build it all there, that's great. But I think finding another resource there, that's too much infrastructure for something that simple, right? It's iron rods into rebar, quick wire into ammo, right? It's very simple.
You're 100% right. I was just taking the challenge of building it all in one spot. And
the other alternative is just to you extend the train network and you bring everything there, and that's fine.
But, or like you said, drones,
yeah. And you could drone the rebar out if you wanted to, but it might make more sense to drone everything in. Especially if you're thinking, all right, this is where everything is manufactured for all the weapons, and just kind of thematically making it. You bring in the quick wire, you bring in the fuel.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at that point, it might be easier to do a rifle plant and then a rebar plant.
Maybe. I think the explosive rebar is too close to the other stuff at the rifle plant. So that might be. Plus, you got to get the aluminum casings in for your turbo.
Yeah.
And then I forget what the homing missiles or the homing. I unlocked that one.
Oh, you did unlock homing. Okay.
Is high-speed connectors. So that's another quick wire, and there's cable or silica, so you can pull that from lots of different places. All right.
I'm trying to
What
remember.
was I doing now?
I did something with the high-speed connectors that made it really convenient to make. I remember maybe I had something that was making circuit boards easy with the copper and silica. I think that's what I was doing. Because those came together pretty quickly. I don't have fancy markings on the floor here, though, so it's a subpar factory.
Glad you said it. I didn't have to.
Yeah. Well, listen. Functionality I can do for you. Making things look pretty is not my forte.
It's not really mine either. This is my first real attempt at beautification, or really completing a factory like that. It didn't take nearly as long as I would have thought. I was more surprised by that.
Yeah, it's just like I know I should have walkways, and here, and it's just I crammed the machines in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like ocean.
Yeah, I like having the space and sort of seeing the footprint of a particular factory. That one, that way you can reason on what you're building. It's easier to count things. I did want to show. I don't know if you can see. You can see my screen, right? I wanted to show you this thing while I'm waiting. I made a circle, and I forget how I discovered this exactly, but I was building something and realized that I could place poles underneath rails.
Oh, are you talking about like
I think
supports?
I talked to you about this before. But you can take these small pillars and they just smoothly move. They snap to the rail, so I can use the rail as a guide to where I want to place them to make nice curves, and then I can use this to place them. Now, I made this blueprint, and I don't know if it'll snap the same way. It doesn't. So I was hoping that would snap the same way, and then I could just use it as a guide for where the walls would go, but it doesn't do it. It only snaps to the blueprint. So,
well, you don't want to ruin any good curves, because I do appreciate a good curve or two. Spline is really nice as well. Just saying.
Well, that's what rails are.
Well, they're like 3 splines. It's a bit of a party. So your circle pattern there, when you go and plant that somewhere, is that going to, can you like cut a section and have an S-bend, or?
Yeah, you could, and you can attach other rails to this. It's in 4 sections, so the railway thing.
Okay, so you could chunk it up by sections after you drop it in. That's good.
Yeah, or you can add a few stops on it and hook in some rails and make it a roundabout. But here's the thing that I always wanted to do is be able to make circles of arbitrary size, and then I can bring in the pillars, right? And if I line this up on the edge and try to go out another length, I can use my painted beam to get another angle And so this is still lined up with the rail, and got another section. But now I've got a little angled wall, so I can keep building around. But the reason I was hoping that other piece would work is because I made it just long enough to where I could match them up and run the walls exactly the sizes. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. So you just have
See,
to
I thought you were making some sort of Thunderdome at first. But,
you
you
can put
know.
a ton of these in here. It's just ridiculous. So you can make nice smooth things. Thunderdome.
You thought my comments were bad. Jeez. Just talking about smooth things. Terrible.
That's a stretch, man.
Maybe now you're stretching. Jesus Christ. Calm down, sir. Just calm down. My
I did
word.
make this smooth little roadway curve.
Okay.
Hmm.
Could be fun to do some Mario Kart action in here. I could see that being some fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that the kids play? That game the kids play? Like Gaga Ball? Looks like Gaga Ball.
I have no idea what that is.
You know, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was like just a weird thing from Bob's Burgers. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Then the old district I worked out outside the elementary school, it's just like a plastic octagon that's just about knee high, and you slap the ball across the octagon trying to hit your opponent in the legs. And if you hit them in the legs, they're out. That's last man standing kind of thing. It's weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're just like smacking a kickball. Weird. But I don't know. At least the kids are playing outside a little bit. That's something.
Did this rail curve too.
That's pretty nice. It's very ornate.
It's in the track up there. I used one of them. And then I made a gradual slope that's a little more elegant for putting into other sections because I had some problems with the.
You did have some problems. Is it still crashing when you go
No, it
to
doesn't
have your
crash. I was able
problem?
to build them.
Okay.
And then I made a steeper incline. So let's see, there's the 4-meter one. It's the same exact design except 4 meters instead of 2 meters. I think that's all I added on that.
I'm gonna
This
disrupt
from
your
another world.
trains.
This is not gonna fit because this is a Mark III that I pulled in from another one, another game.
Where are your trains? Jesus.
What?
No, I was gonna hijack one of your trains and.
One is at
Well, they're both.
the station there,
Yeah,
and
the
the
other
other's
one's.
halfway.
I could have had these rebuilt by now. Damn.
Let's see, what else do I have? I have this monstrosity, which we can't build because it uses the wrong belts. Isn't that a cool looking thing?
That is ridiculous.
It's a
My
10 belt
goodness.
equalizer.
That's something.
And then this is a single unit from that one. It's really not an efficient one. I built a better one. So this is a 5-way equalizer, and I just used 2 of these, Mark 6 belts, to do the 10-way. That was for aluminum. But I think if I do that again, I'm going to, instead of doing, I tried to do just efficient trains, and I think I'll just overkill the trains. There's a 3x3 belt equalizer. You saw this and thought it was insane, so I figured I should bring the blueprints in to make your head hurt more.
You're a bad person.
7-way splitter. Yeah.
I like that. That's not bad.
I got the 5-way splitter from video 1 on the 5-way splitter and the lossless version. Because I built them with Mark 6 belts, so can't do it yet.
Well,
Those are nice.
all right, my game borked a little bit. That's fun.
There's a 2 to 3 splitter. Takes 2 inputs and splits it evenly 3 ways. It's ugly.
I mean,
it works.
It's got character.
Basic 4-6. I mostly made that to make it.
Well, that's what I imagine a lot of this is making it for the sake of making it.
Yep. I made this floodlight array. So I can light up stuff.
I like arrays.
That'll be nice for making things. I got a ceiling light, basic one, and then another one that is got kind of a drop effect. So I should be able to put this on a roof with the lights hanging down a little bit because of the steel. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. Should work. Maybe it won't work. I don't know. Didn't pull in the roads yet that were in the. They're on a different computer than these were. And I did these manufacturers with the bus. That's one I did with Mark 6 in Another World. I rebuilt it over here because I thought it would be useful. This is with Mark 4. So it's the same thing, but different belts. And
then?
And a 10 constructor manifold with 2 sides. So if you ever need to build 10 constructors, just use this. It's already set up. And then an assembler with bus. So you can build long chains of those pretty easily. How are we doing over here? Space elevator.
Well, the elevator looks like it stopped.
Yep. Well, I don't understand what's happening with the math. So this produces for every 5 automated wiring 2 adaptive control units. So if I need 100,
math and not math again?
Maybe.
I mean, I hope you're not doing math and not math.
But if this takes okay, so if this takes 5 to produce 2, and I need 100, then I need 50 times 5, which is 250. I definitely used 250, so I'm not sure why I didn't have enough. I don't know if they're stuck on belts or something, or if the game did something weird with them.
I mean, it's not like the game to be weird. I don't feel like that's normal.
No, it's weird, right?
But yeah, I'd believe that. Okay. I think I made the correction to the train station I wanted to make, which was kind of painful. Wow, and that not a moment too soon. That was just a train that flew through here.
Good job.
I guess it was cranky. It just came and went.
Hey, when that
okay.
happens.
Okay. You know, things and or stuff. That's. I mean, I think if it had come through any sooner, it just would have not done anything and just
would have crashed. That's what it would have done.
Man, Like Windows ME. Oof.
Please don't. Please don't Windows me. I don't want to be Windowsed.
I bet you'd like it. You're a strange one.
Alright, so I need 24 more. This has enough to make 4 times 2, so that would make 8. And 8. So I need 16, that means... I think I got enough. Alright, so this would be 8 and 8, so that's... $16 each. So that should cover it. This should cover it, Fed. Oh, I see what happened. I see what happened.
Did you not cover it? I feel like you
Nope,
wouldn't have covered it.
one of the belts had stuff on it. And so they weren't getting fed in.
Well, see, I would know about that.
So I probably did it already. Yep, I did it already. This is... I second guess myself. Oh well. I'm cutting you off.
I mean, to be fair, I feel the need to second guess you.
You probably should.
I mean, I find it amusing, for sure, to second guess you. Like, I just like doing. I like it when you're wrong. You know.
Yeah. I don't mind being wrong.
Oh, hey, look at your space elevator parts. Look at that. That's some completion.
Paying no
there.
attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay. That was okay. Good one. I don't know.
Is it connecting all weird?
You are a little weird, but I didn't want to mention anything directly. You know, call you out
Oh,
directly.
I'm a lot weird, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you work on computers at all?
Yeah. How'd you
Oh,
know?
okay. I don't know.
So I'm gonna yank
On the
all these
checklist, but
parts.
it's not checked off.
Oh, that on the checklist. I thought you meant, do I work with computers in real life? Maybe that's why I'm weird. But no.
There's other things that make you strange.
Yeah, there's plenty of things.
You know, you're always telling me how faces are ugly and they come out of the rain. It's true. Then it's all show me the way to the next whiskey bar. It's a weird thing you do.
Welcome to the project
For the geriatric crowd, I hope those references aren't lost.
Congratulations, the Phase 3 project part shipment is finally ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 3 will be completed and the main body will be constructed. You should know how this works.
Goodbye
by
parts.
now. You'll get access to tiers 7 and 8.
Phase 3.
In fact, perhaps you should just go look at the technologies there yourself. It's all labeled.
Do we have things
so that
unlocked
even
now?
a monkey could
Did it open up
understand
yet?
it, so you should have no issues. Speaking of which,
Ooh,
I don't think you need a reminder about project parts. Instead, I will be providing some interesting facts. Did you know the average
The first thing we're gonna have to do is bauxite refinement, because we gotta get aluminum.
Knows how to optimize pipe throughput?
Aluminum.
Did you know the average pioneer stays late at humanity? Anyway,
Thought
I
it'd start
you
on
might want to
computers,
know
but
more about your peers.
alas, someone
Good
was
luck in Phase
out late.
4.
Listen, I don't want to be an adult. I don't want to spend money on a
Phase
roof
3 of project
and
assembly
deal with
completed. Fix-Its predictions
shenanigans
indicate pioneers should
and having the
generally reach
phone
this
line
point
ripped off
faster
my
with
house by a
above-average
delivery
results.
truck.
But we should all adjust our expectations
Shenanigans.
according to the situation. It is
Yeah, this is a lot of
understandable. The
shenanigans.
pressure and complexity will only increase
Okay,
from here,
trains.
so be
Why
sure to
are
take on
we
Phase
not
4 with
training?
efficiency and competence.
Oh no, there we go. Maybe I put a block signal back. I forgot.
Well, it is 9:30. So
hey, it's
I'm
9:30.
gonna call this at 9:30. And next time we'll do some aluminum. think that's worth doing on stream, but I also want to do some other stuff. So I might unlock things with aluminum.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing aluminum because there's definitely complications for that, and just selecting a location, it
Yeah.
would be I would find interesting. But again, I'm Active Directory. I find interesting, so just saying. Did unfortunately go to the conference about Google Admin Console, and I enjoyed part of it.
Ooh. Also need some
They
more
got
codes. We need more codes fed.
More codes.
We need more building codes. We only have 2 power codes, so we could potentially do something with that. Transportation, once we get drones up, I think will be. You could have some drone statements. Or
So
a completely other category of codes.
I
don't know.
think when it comes to drones, one thing I was having trouble with is keeping things named appropriately. I'd call it North Coast or Atomic because I was doing my atomic energy there, and it can get confusing. So
I think the first thing you should have in the name should be an identifier that will distinguish that item. I could go on about drones for a long time.
So I started with the premise of location where the port is. So if we had a port where at one of our our 2 train stations were drone depots, hypothetically, I would say one's Deep Horizons, and then crude oil distro, because that's where we're distributing crude oil from. On the Lake City side, I would have one drone port saying, hey, this is Lake City, and it's the crude oil depot, because it was receiving crude oil. And if I was doing material, I'd do another port connection for fuel, like a fuel distro and a fuel depot, just to get things rolling, as it were. For the giggles, I did get a message from Cthulhu, and he's not happy with plutonium.
It's a bit of effort to get it all lined up. It's worth it in terms of power generation, if you can do it and generate the power, but then you have to deal with the
waste.
The waste of it, which isn't really worth doing. So it costs more to take care of the waste than you get by burning the waste in the power, I think. So, and you can mitigate that. If you're overclocking a lot of things to do that, then you're probably going to use a lot more power. If you are smart about it, you could probably get away without with a general positive power consumption.
So you're saying I shouldn't even bother?
I think you don't even need to bother with nuclear if you're just going to finish the game, because you can do it all with fuel. Like, you can power everything. You can get, I calculated, you can get over a terawatt of power theoretically out of Blue Crater if you pipe in some extra sulfur. So you don't even need nuclear. Now, how much that costs to build all that stuff is pretty low for fuel too, so you get actually more usable power, whereas the amount it costs to build nuclear is a little bit higher, so your net gain of energy is still pretty good, but then when you get to Fixonium, I don't think the net gain is really worthwhile. At least that's what I've read online. I haven't done the calculations, so I don't know if it's and I probably won't really do it anytime soon. It's just the headache of actually running it and getting it going, just so you have no waste and you're burning all that stuff for power. It takes a long time. I did set it up in my first world just to do it, but I was only running off of 1 uranium node to do it, so that I was burning I had 1 plant burning Fixonium. And then the rest of it was, I think maybe it was 3 plutonium and 6 uranium. I think that's all I had in that at the end. So it wasn't a lot of power plants, but it produced a ton of power for what it was. And then the alien power augmenter thing, the alien power matrix is another one that actually making the items that you use to boost it feels like it's more expensive than what you get out of the boost. But that one scales, at least, with the amount of power you have in the rest of the grid, so it could be worth it.
See, that's one of the buildings I haven't messed with yet, so I know nothing about that one. Somebody told me to avoid it, so I'm like, and then I just put it out of my mind and ignored things.
It's you could just plop one down and it'll add 10%, like boost your production by 10% per building. And then it also does something like 750 megawatts on its own. It just generates power for nothing. So you can do that. I mean, worth building if you really need some extra power. But to actually get the power matrix thing in them, it costs power shards to make the power matrix, and you can automate power shards. But it's expensive to do all that. So it's like you're spending a lot of power just to boost the power, and you have to do the math. I feel like if it's not worth doing in terms of like the output that you get, I don't see why they built it that way. Right? It just doesn't make sense. So I think maybe people are missing something, or they're using power shards and overclocking when they shouldn't be, and just building more buildings. Because when you overclock a building, it doesn't, like if you're doubling the output of a building speed-wise, you're more than doubling the power. But if you dial them back to either, I think it's linear in the underclocking, but you can underclock a little bit and build more buildings. So if something says you need 3.3 when you do the calculation, build 4 and underclock them, and then you'll be fine. And you're using only the power you really need, as long as you have the space to build those things. The only exceptions I have to that are the resource nodes and power stations. They seem to be worthwhile. They increase linearly with what they're doing, and then the resource nodes at least are giving you something, so it's boosting your overall production. It feeds into everything down the chain. But like summer slooping only at the end means you get twice the output items, but if you summer sloop all the way, depends on how many chains there are, you can get like 16 times the items out of a building, but it's exorbitant amounts of power. So there's just lots of things you can do with that. It's a trade-off every way. So I don't know.
No, there's definitely a lot that I need to pick up on and deal with. I don't know. It's definitely a lot.
Well, I spent some time in that modeler app that's on Steam, and drawing up some diagrams of various things, and I think that would be a good one. Another thing I'd like to do is just kind of show what the power distribution is as you overclock versus using multiple buildings. Like if you double the, I can show you right now actually, just plop down a constructor, right? What do I have on me? I don't have anything on me. Oh, never mind. I won't do that. But if you had some ingots or something on you, you could plop it down, run an ingot through, and then change the power. Run another ingot through to make like an iron rod. And you can see as you put in more power shards or you scale up the overclocking, the amount of power goes up dramatically. So it's not twice the power to get twice the items. It's way more than that. And if you go all the way up, it's just really pushing on your power grid. Now, sometimes it's the sensible way to do it instead of building, I think I had like something like 40 or 50 of a building, right? And if you go all the way up, that drops that 50 buildings down to 20 buildings, which is a little more manageable. So when it comes to like footprint, it makes some sense. But I use it a lot for the lower level items because scaling, even non-linearly for like ingots, doesn't add a lot of consumption to the grid. So like for just a fraction, I don't know if you saw it, you could see how much just running the space elevator parts took out of the grid. And it was something like 20% of our total power, or maybe more, 20 to 30% of our total power just for these 3 buildings because they're fully, if I turn it back on, it'll jump up with their power usage. So this is like 20%. So it's crazy how much extra power it takes to do that, right? And the blue line is literally everything connected to the grid. These are 20% of that power for just these buildings. So if I look at it here, I'm going to take all this down because so this will be fun. This says it's 738. If I yank these out, it's not going to do anything, right? Because it's still building this one unit. But if I move it to what 700? Did I say 738?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Build the manufacturer here. The base cost is only 55. So if I built 2.5 more of these, so I built 3 of these and underclock them, I'm just doing 150. So that's, what is that, like a
A
sixth?
number.
Yeah, it's a lot less power. So you might have to build a lot more buildings to make an efficient Fixonium plant, but I haven't checked it. And it may be really annoying to build that much stuff and distribute that much stuff and find the place to put all that. So it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole lot for a
Actually, you'd have to
questionable
do
amount of
5
gain.
buildings because I had summer sloops there, and you'd use more base resources. But yeah.
Hmm.
So it's 300 versus 7.
Puritanism there. They just
Well, I think
Right.
next time we can do some
I
aluminum.
will.
Find a place to put up some aluminum and make an intro aluminum. I really would love to get into drones, but we're gonna have to do radio control units at least first before we can do that.
I'm gonna have to unbreak the trains because I definitely broke the trains.
Get nuclear power, particle enrichment. What else? Hazmat suit, which would be nice. So I can go clear up some radiation places. More inventory slots. Faster belts. Flying and more
Like,
inventory slots. Sulfuric acid. Batteries. I really want to try to do battery powered drones, but I looked it up, or I started doing again with the modeler, and man, it is just not. You can't make nearly as many batteries as you can fuel. So I don't know. I think you could do it, and it's probably enough to power a lot of drones. So I think it's worth doing, and I found a reasonably decent place to do it. So, I don't know. Still debating.
I mean,
Might be
I'm
good
up
for the
for trying
challenge.
anything. Yeah, I just to even demo one. Like I said, the rocket fuel with one of the alternate recipes in a blender. I think it was coal, sulfur, fuel, and nitrogen gas.
Yep.
I found that one pretty good, and yeah, easy to make.
Yep, that one's really nice. I mean, it's one of the best alts, I think.
So one thing I didn't realize about the train station is if I added a segment to the middle, it threw off the location of the other 2 cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, did not realize that.
Yeah, you
So
have to do that all across the network, so you should really not.
yeah, well, I already did one spot, so I'm gonna edit Deep Horizons now and get that fixed.
Okie doke. Well,
Yeah,
I think I'll leave you
poor
with that.
decisions. All right, until next time.
Next
Or something.
time.
Indeed.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, OBS will not open. There we go. Bye.